Hello, hello, hello. I'm glad everybody is here today, including me and my guest. Thank you so much for everybody being here today. This is Finding Joy Live. And my guest today is Manohar from India. And he's been working in the software industry for 15 years almost and reads lots of books and watches movies. But importantly, he has struggled with insomnia and has been through the ringer on trying to figure out how to get that dealt with in his life and how to have a better experience in life, and is now at a place where he has written a book. And the book is called My Sleepless Nights, and it's on Amazon. We're going to talk all about that today. But please welcome Manohar Grandi. Hi.
Hi, hi, and I'm really happy to be on your podcast.
Thank you, Manohar. It's great to have you here. I will say, one of the reasons that I was so excited to get to talk to you is because I myself struggled with insomnia when I went through a huge loss in my life. And I will say, in the beginning, I didn't even know it was insomnia. I was like, no, I just don't need to sleep anymore. I'm Superman, right? And so I'm really excited to kind of get to talking about what does it look like when we're not sleeping and it's healthy, it's inspiration, and what does it look like when we're not sleeping and it's unhealthy and not inspiration? Yeah. So maybe we could start there.
Yeah. So, like you talked about, everyone has their own bouts of uh, nights where you don't sleep. So, like you talked about healthy, where you have the excitement and those kinds of things. So maybe when you have your, so I remember my days when I was maybe like engaged to my wife, and I was in a feel having that feel good thing. So maybe in those kinds of scenarios where you keep chatting and talking, those kinds of things, yeah, maybe it's healthy. But yeah, what you talked about, we can sustain for one or yeah, even couple of days, but in the long run, it doesn't work out because our bodies need to sleep. And actually, when like you talked about, I read a lot, and I also was watching a TED talk wherein the core premise of the talk was that amongst all the creatures that exist on this planet, human beings are the only ones who don't respect the cycle of nature. So, for example, yeah, there are nocturnal animals, but they respect the cycle of nature where they sleep in the day. But almost all the animals, like be it birds or anything, when it's night, they just go and then they sleep. But now with the main thing is with electricity on, and the last 2 decades with this technology boom, we have so much things to do at the night. Like we have WhatsApp, we have Netflix, we have everything which is available just on the push of a button. So
Yeah.
that is when sleep completely goes for a toss, is what I feel. But yeah, this is sustainable for the short term, but in the long run, there are severe consequences with not sleeping.
Yes, yes, I can say that one indicator, at least for me, is when I'm being a late night TikTok junkie, and I just go like, oh, I'll just watch another one. Oh, it's midnight. Whoopsie, you know. But let's talk a little bit about how you came to this topic. What happened
Yeah.
for you that brought you to this topic?
Okay. Yeah, that's a really something very interesting question. Yeah, I remember right from my teenage, Donna, where I always had a preconditions for sleep. So like my room should be in this kind of temperature. There should be no power cut. The fan should be there. The mattress should be in proper. The pillow, and I was like so conditioned that my sleep always wanted to be a military regiment kind of a thing. So that was what was happening. But 4 years back, like you talked about your case where you had some personal issues, I was also having issues with my personal side. And also yeah, little bit of issues where I was living on a FOMO kind of a thing. And then what happened was my sleep actually completely went for a toss. And that is where, when I was listening to one of the TED Talk, and the main premise, what the authors, I mean, the speaker says is, uh, cutting down consciously on sleep causes a lot of issues. So, be it
Mhm.
Alzheimer's, diabetes, and all kinds of things. That actually sparked a fear in me. I was like very fearful because after listening to that, and I wanted to fix my sleep schedules immediately in a snap of a thing. So just like that. So I tried so much. I tried so hard to sleep that, and I think you also would agree, like the more harder you try, the difficult it is to sleep.
Yes,
So that is
it's absolutely true. It's absolutely true. I will
yeah.
say, just to interject here for a second, I have many clients who have come to me and said, "No, no, I just sleep 4 hours a night. That's what works for me."
Yeah,
And there are so many severe consequences for making that conscious choice of I when I feel the urge to get up, but what's happening really is in your brain that or your adrenal system is telling you it's time to get up and check that everything is okay. And we kind of go like, okay, I'll just go to work, or I'll bake a cake or whatever, right? Whatever your anti-stress thing is,
mhm,
rather than saying, I want to do something at this moment to bring myself back to a restful condition so that my body can continue to do the daily healing that is required of it in order to
absolutely,
maintain over a long period of time, right?
absolutely, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so like you talked about, Donna, which is like that is what exactly what happens when you do this healing. So there are yeah, in a short to explain, we have something called as the sympathetic nervous system, which gets activated during your basically your fight and flight or your day-to-day activities. But when the sympathetic nervous system is active, obviously when you are doing things which is in the fight and flight mode, obviously your body cells, tissues, everything gets damaged. But someone needs to do that repair work where new tissues needs to be formed, new blood cells needs to be formed, and all those kinds of things, cleanup and all those things has to be done. But when you that is when the parasympathetic nervous system activates, and when you don't give the body the rest, then you are it's like saying, I only want to operate in one mode, which is like active mode, but not give the body the rest. So then automatically you start losing so many things. So for me, what happened was I started losing hair. So every night, every morning when I woke up, beside my pillow there was so much fallen hair. So I started having digestion issues. So whatever food I was eating, I always had feeling of burning kind of a thing. And so then of course I had low energy because my mind was always trying to fix a problem hard. And that is where the scariest thing for me was I was on the wheel driving on a freeway kind of a thing, and I had a micro sleep when I was on there. So I don't even remember what happened, but thank God nothing happened. So, and I'm alive to say this story. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I can remember a time that I woke up in the driver's seat at a lot of miles an hour. And it is a extraordinarily dangerous thing, right? So these things can lead to long-term danger for our bodies, but more importantly, as you described it, I like that you said micro sleep because it really is. It doesn't feel as dangerous, right? It feels like, oh, I just blinked, right? And but in reality, you were not conscious during that blink,
Yes.
right? Um, uh, so so the other thing that you really reminded me of is the racing brain. And I always say to myself, it rarely happens now, but anytime that I'm doing random math, I'm in real trouble, right? So
Yeah.
when you're laying in bed and you're like, I wonder how many times this happened today, or I wonder if I did this and then that happened and then that happened and then how long would it take me to drive there now? It would, right? And so that kind of doing math to try to figure things out, I think is a
Mhm.
really good indicator that there's something more going on in your body than a single night of
Yes,
restlessness, right?
yes,
Yeah,
of course.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So tell us so what did you do about it? What did you try first?
Yeah, so Donna, like everyone, I was also worried. I mean, I was worried about this, and I wanted a quick fix. So in form of a sleeping pill, kind of a thing. So then what I did is I went to a psychologist, and then I got some few sessions done wherein he explained me what was wrong with my thought process, with day-to-day scenarios. And then what he told me was that I was living in a FOMO, which is fear of missing out on things, kind of a thing. So that is when, but that was also not helping out. Then I had to go to the psychiatrist, and he diagnosed that I was on anxiety, and he gave me anti-anxiety pills, so which I had to take before going to sleep. But the change what happened, that was the biggest game changer for me, was the practice of meditation. So
Mm,
when I initially started this, yeah, so just like everyone else, I thought that this should give me instant result, kind of a thing. So I started in March. Then I started 1 month with breath meditation, and I thought I was getting some initial vibes, good vibes, but then I thought it's not fixing, and I just gave up immediately. And then I shifted to another form of meditation, kept hopping on from one form to another. And then when I realized this is not going to work out, then my psychologist told me that it doesn't matter which form of meditation you take. You could take any form of meditation, but the more important thing is you have to do that meditation and be persistent with that meditation.
mm.
When I persisted with that practice of meditation, just I just did initially just for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, kind of thing, slowly increased it to 5 minutes, and then within a month or so, like 20 minutes was my regular practice before going to sleep. And once I was able to do that, the anxiety, which is that I'm whether I'm sleeping or not, started losing its grip. And yeah, slowly my sleep schedules got better and better, and that's how it happened.
So I love that you're bringing this up. So two things that you talked about. The first, I'm just going to touch on really quick because it was a little bit ago, and that is that what you called fear of missing out. I think also, certainly in the United States, people often feel like, "Hey, I'm using those hours. I don't keep up with my work and my family, and all of the things that I have to do, and maintaining my home, and just getting it done. The business of living and the business of making money." Unless I have all those hours in the day. And there's such an incredible link between resting well and resting for longer periods of time and productivity, increased productivity. Um, but this also brings me to that anxiety piece, because I feel like a lot of times when we're in that, I'm really productive, I can't afford to have a body that has needs, moment, that we're also missing out on relationships we could be making with
Yes,
people who could be helping us. And the
of course.
whole thing kind of goes in a direction of ease when we go like, okay, I don't have time in my day to do X, Y, and Z, and therefore I'm going to ask for help. And now I have this new relationship with a person or several people who I get to be in relationship with, who are there
Of course.
wanting to help me and being right. So there's this whole like other space that we can really find some good feelings in. I love that.
Yeah.
Love that. So let's talk a little bit about that. Well, let me go back a second. I love
Yeah.
that you did talk a little bit about uh, the meditation journey.
Hmm.
And this is such a common story, that people, in my experience, everyone,
Hmm.
probably including me, everyone,
Yeah.
does meditation wanting something out of it
Mhm.
and is disappointed. right?
Yes.
Because that's not an equation that works for meditation. It's not why you do meditation. You don't do
Yeah, of course.
meditation so that you feel good, right? You do
Yes,
meditation because that's what the body needs. You do
of course.
meditation because that's what the brain needs. And regardless of if you're good at it or bad at it, or get relief or don't get relief, that sort of brushing your teethness of it, right? I just do it anyway.
Yes.
And I don't see the problem for 2 years until I get my teeth cleaned, and they're like, "Oh, you have to have teeth cleaning surgery, right?" Or you go to the dentist and they say, "No, no, you're good. I don't know what you've been doing. Keep doing it," right? That's how
Yeah.
our brains and our bodies are with meditation.
Yes.
Yeah. So, what was your next step after that?
Yeah, so I started this practice of meditation, like you talked about. Yeah, but the biggest thing was like anything, the journey was not a linear one. So it was like, though I did meditation, I still had anxiety, but and thought of giving up multiple times. But then I used to talk with my psychologist, and of course, like you talked about having relationships. So I had interactions with few other people, and they actually told me that nothing happens overnight. You have to persist with these things, and
Yes.
then actually things started going better. And the biggest game changer for me, Donna, was when I meditated. I stopped living in the anxiety of whether I will sleep tonight or not, or I stopped living in the past. Like I didn't have I had a bad night of sleep. So I stopped living in the past and stopped worrying about the future, and just lived in the present moment, which is like, which was, and I kept myself keeping myself calm. And like I always give this, in fact it's there in my book also, which is like from the movie called Frozen 2. What happens is, in that movie, the protagonist called Anna has to save her kingdom, but she doesn't know how to do it and all those things. So the beautiful thing is she focuses on doing the next right thing. That's it. She doesn't go and think about, I have to. Many times we get overwhelmed because we have to do so much of things, but then when you just focus on doing the next right thing. So after I do the step one, focus on doing the step two next right thing, step three next right thing, step four next right thing. It doesn't mean that the step four will be bad or the step two will be bad, but you have to just focus on doing the next right thing, which is like, instead of having that anxiety, I focused on just being relaxed. Whatever may be the case, I just said to myself, I just have to be relaxed. And the more I kept doing it, so this is the compound effect that kept adding multiple times, and that is when I completely lost. So even if I have a bad night's sleep, I just don't worry about the bad night of sleep, and I just live in the present. So if I feel lazy, I just go sleep on the bed. That's it. So that is how I've overcome this.
That is so great. You're reminding me of this time period when I felt like I kind of couldn't get out of the cycle of step two, three, four, right? I love
Mhm.
that you described it that way. I don't think I've ever thought of it that way, but that's exactly what it was. It was like I knew step one and I had an idea for step two, and I didn't really know step three, and I really didn't know step four, and I just had to I got to make sure I'm going in that. I got to make sure, right? You get like in that cycle of like propulsion in a direction that has no direction. It's dispersed. So there's no focus to it, right? So this idea of staying present in step one, of whatever it is you're doing is so important. And there was a time when I'm big on printing things out on my printer and then sticking them on a frame in a frame on the wall so that I remember, right? Because
Yeah.
retraining yourself takes a little reminding, right? It's like I was all my best thinking got me to this point where I have these problems. So now I need to be retrained a little bit.
Yeah.
And what I put on it was, this is all I have to do today. This is
Mhm.
all I have to do today. And for me, it was a great reminder. I know some people blow it up to like, that's not really true. You do have to feed the cats, um, But when I would look at it, I would think, oh, if I can just feel like this is all I have to do in this moment, this is it, this is the only thing, is whatever I'm in at this moment is all that exists in the world, in my world, then you go through it very quickly, right? That thing that you think is going to take 4 hours takes 20 minutes, and you go like, whoo, that was good. And
Mhm.
off you go, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. So, tell me a little bit about the process of writing your book. How did that come about? Why did you decide, I got to tell people about this?
Yeah. So, yeah, like you mentioned in my bio when you read it. So I was always interested in reading books. So I always wanted to be an author myself. So, but I never knew like what should I write and all those things. But then when I realized that this is something which I have felt, and I know like there are so many people who are in this process struggling. So I thought this could be something which I can share it with the world, the knowledge which I have, and that is when I decided that I could write this book, and that's when I started writing this book called My Sleepless Nights, a story of victory over insomnia, and that got published on Amazon. Yeah.
I'm going to put up your website at this moment just because for those who are listening now or later, this is, I assume the link is on your website as well, right?
Yes.
And I
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
there's a free handout that is very helpful as well. So there's a lot of resources there. You can always go to manohargrandi and .com and get those and search out the name of his book is right on the website, so you can search that out on Amazon. Well, that is really awesome. Can we just talk a little bit about um, what how do people approach you? By that I mean, what is their biggest thing that they notice about their lives
Yeah.
that are impacted by this sleeplessness, this insomnia?
Yeah. So the way mostly people have approached me is by my social media, like through my Facebook and all those things. And the biggest issue which I see when people are in this phase, yeah, this phase where you don't sleep and you are anxious is not an easy one to be in. But then there are so many stories in the head that they have just completely suppressed it, and they don't have know a person where they can open up with. So so the first question they ask me is there a way that I can fix my insomnia? So tell me one quick hack or one tip which can fix your insomnia. So then I actually ask them to just calm down, just talk, just have a casual chat like the way you are having with me. So I have a casual chat with them. Just make so basically I so if you read about the mental state, so there is something called as amygdala in the brain, which is the kind of activates the fear or fight or flight thing, and it's responsible for all these panic things. So when you have this word to word talk with the way you are doing, then you realize that there's no danger, and then the amygdala actually shuts off, and then you can have a proper conversation like what is it, what is the sleep ritual you're following, what is the something which is wrong, and what is the perspective with which you are viewing, and all those kinds of things. And once you are able to calm down, yeah, I talked about calming down the amygdala, then you become actually receptive to the suggestions, and you also have that aha moments like, okay, okay, this is something which I'm doing wrong. I really didn't notice that. So that is what I do when I interact with people, and I'm able to. They once they understand that, and I tell them like what is the yeah. There could be many things, like it could be the practice of meditation. It could be the practice of gratitude. So yeah, many times I've seen people think that they don't have anything in life, but when you notice the fact that we are living in itself is a gratitude. We have so many things, so we never know, like you couldn't have even seen this day. So when you start this practice of gratitude and meditation, and that's when things actually take an opposite turn. But it's not, like I mentioned, it's not a linear one. It takes time,
Right.
and you once you have this regular meetings and interactions, then slowly things start getting better.
That's great. So, what you're talking about, if I get this correctly, is deactivating the current state so that the
Yes.
current state is calm enough to be having a not a body reaction, right? Because that's really when our
Yes.
bodies are completely running their own programs here, right?
Yeah.
So we deactivate, and then you can kind of look at the practical solutions to how to get into that deactivated state over and over and over again. And it
Yeah.
is that kind of repetitive, I need to get back into the state of homeostasis or neutrality or deactivated stress, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
You just talked about a gratitude practice, and I tend to, in my own practice and with my clients, I tend to uh, work with an appreciation practice. And
Hmm.
for me, that I love that you talked about, like, there's no situation where you couldn't have some sort of appreciation for something,
Yes.
because for me, I when I wake up, soon as my eyes open or my consciousness comes, sometimes that's before my eyes open, um, I spend some time there thinking about, sometimes even saying out loud,
Hmm.
all of the things that are right about this moment, that are great about this moment. And and quite often it is about the air or the temperature or the pillow, where the pillow happens to be situated under my body, right? So it's
Yes.
like really micro awareness of basics, right? Real basics. So that kind of practice, I love that you're talking about that as a practice for how we get away from anxiety leading to insomnia, because uh, it's a such a powerful thing to just take 30 seconds, a minute and a half, and have some consistent thought about what's good about this moment. I
Correct.
love that. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So tell us, we usually only go about a half hour here, so we're going to start to wrap it up. Tell us a little bit, just how people can get in touch with you, what you've got going on, all of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So, so people can search my from my website, which you are already flashing. So there that has like my blogs kind of a thing, where I talk about insomnia and how do you work on this. And the other way is you can search my book called My Sleepless Nights, which is available on Amazon. Uh, so both as an ebook and as a Kindle, you can read it. And so there are so if you can go there are my audiobook is also getting launched in couple of days. It will be on Audible also, but it is there on other platforms like Barnes and Nobles and all those things. You can
The
search
audio
for
is
my
already
audio.
on Barnes and Nobles?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
on
great.
Barnes. Yeah,
Great.
it's on
Great.
Barnes and Noble. So you can find that. And the other way is once you go to my website, so you will have a free video kind of a thing wherein I talk about, uh, like I talked about in this video, where how you deactivate your amygdala, so which is the responsible for the fight and flight mode. So there I give you some practices, which is one is called as alternate nostril breathing, and the other one is called box breathing. You can do these practices and come back to that homeostasis, which actually Donna was talking about. And once you are able to do these things, and yeah, the biggest thing which I feel is you should be willing to ask for help. That is, so there's a very famous quote where Steve Jobs says that many people don't get to the place where they want to go because they are afraid to ask for help. So if you are afraid to ask for help, uh, yeah, the situation stays where it is. So you have to ask for help. You should be willing to ask for help, and then things start improving. Yeah, so and I'm available. You can search me on Facebook, LinkedIn, and all these platforms. So you can find me there.
Great, thank you. And it's so great to hear you talking about some real basics in terms of breathing and meditating. And I feel like a lot of times people go like, "Oh, been there, done that. I tried that already," or "That's too simple. That's too simple. I breathe every day, otherwise I wouldn't be alive, right?" Um, and to take the time to reach out to people who are here to help you, like Manohar, like me, to say, yes, this is a way that I want to be the way that I use to get myself from where I am to where I want to go emotionally and in my life, my lifestyle. So I really appreciate that you're keeping that focus so clear. There are videos on his website and everything. So please go there and check it out. I also, of course, want to remind everybody to check out my website. I have a lot going on right now. Of course, we've got podcasts. I have two different podcasts and lots of things going on like this. You will find on the website right now the Roadmap to More Joy quiz, which can really give you excellent insight as to how you are experiencing your life on a regular basis. Like, what town do you live in, right? Do you live in anger or do you live in playfulness? And really get a sense of that so that you can say, hey, these parts of my life, I thought they were good or I thought they were not good, but now I can see them in a new light. And it gives you steps to go from there. So head on over to donnalyn.blog and you will see that and much more on that website. Well, thank you so much for being here, Manohar. Appreciate you.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak on your podcast, and I hope, like you talked about, focusing on things where you can improve. That really makes a lot of difference. And once we are in a balanced state, uh, life is much better.
Yeah, yeah, we can actually get to joy then. Who
Yes,
knew?
yeah,
Excellent. Well, we hope to see you guys all in our websites.
yes.